Hi, welcome along to the fourth and final planned Compassionate Q&A live with me. I am Dr. Marianne Trent and I am a clinical psychologist and I do a few various things. I am the author of the Clinical Psychologist Collective, the host of the Aspiring Psychologist podcast, the creator of the Aspiring Psychologist membership, and of course, the original creator of these compassionate Q&A free sessions. If you are watching via Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, please give me a like, please give me a hello. Let me know that you're watching in the comments. And if you're watching on Instagram, I can't necessarily see your comments. So if you've got any questions, if you hop over to Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, that is the best place because your comments will come up live and I can pop them on screen. So let me just see if I can comment. So there we go. It's come up as me commenting from all of my platforms actually. But yeah, I'll be able to pop you on screen like so. So if you're watching, give me a hello. And if you've got any questions, fire away. Where are you at in this process that we call interview season? But honestly, it's such a long process for you guys, isn't it? And I have been right here with you, toe for toe. So it starts, it starts at that point at the end of end of August when you suddenly think, oh, September is almost upon us. I can almost register for the clearinghouse program or whatever program. I think EdPsych is the same as well, and then it goes right up till till in theory it goes right up to the end of August, doesn't it? Until the final deadline of places is upon us. So technically, I think people are supposed to let people know by June if they're taking up places or not. But anything could happen. People could drop out or pull out, change their mind, and you might get a call, as late as early September to welcome you on. So thank you for joining me, Joyce, who's watching in Florida. That's very exciting. Slightly more glamorous sounding than where I am in the West Midlands in the UK. You got your book a few weeks ago. Lovely. I hope you find it super useful. Are you hoping to pursue the clinical psychology route, Joyce? Do let us know. But yeah, has anyone got any questions, or are you just here to soak up some good vibes? Because it is a long time, isn't it? It can take its toll for sure. From late summer until summer and spring again this year is a long time. So just another little reminder, if you're watching on Instagram and you've got any questions for me, I can't guarantee that I'll see them because of the positioning of my camera. So if you've got any questions, hop on over to Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. And if you click on my link tree in my bio on Instagram, you'll be able to see all the other social connection options there and come and grab your favorite one. Apart from TikTok, I can't stream from TikTok yet because I don't think I'm cool enough. I don't think I've got enough followers. So Kaya says the process is so long. I've taken a step back from prep for weeks now to reduce burnout. I only do practice questions alone out loud. Looking forward to it all being over. Yeah, and I think depending on which universities people are applying to, you could have an early interview and then late interviews as well. So it really can take a long time. And all of this anxiety / excitement / not knowing, feeling like you're on tenterhooks, feeling like someone else is controlling your destiny can be really tricky, really difficult. Yeah, we're not, as humans, as you may know, we're not supposed to be able to deal with this level of sustained threat. We're supposed to be kind of short, sharp burst creatures who can get ourselves safe, and predict a bit of danger, but only really imminently. We're not supposed to be able to hold things in mind for that longer time. So this is why it feels so tricky to be a human, and this is why it feels so tricky to be to be an aspiring psychologist or anyone working in mental health when everybody is struggling. At the moment, we've got long waiting lists, we've got a very high demand upon our services, and it's you guys, the aspiring psychologists, and me guys as well, in the service that are doing our hardest to support the mental health of people that we care so deeply about. I often think about, you guys learning your craft, training yourselves up and wanting to get yourselves trained up for people that you have not yet met, for people who might be having perfectly beautiful lives right now, but you are getting yourselves ready for when they will need you and you will be there. So what you're doing now is not only an act of kind of compassion for yourself, because it should hopefully be something you really want to do. It's an act of compassion for future generations of people. It's an act of compassion for the people that you will one day nurture in their careers when they want to come and do what you're doing. So all of this hard work now, I really hope, will pay rich dividends for you and all of those around you. The work that I was doing in 2007 saw me sitting right here in this very seat in the West Midlands come 2022. So it's like the longest ever, season of harvest preparation, isn't it? You sow these seeds now, and they flourish because you water them and you tend them. So yeah, here's me waffling on, and I have actually got some questions that have come through. Joyce says, I'm here to soak up some good vibes. Definitely thinking clinical psychology as of now. I know things change for the better on our journeys. Yes, they do. Things do change. But yeah, as soon as I sort of knew really about how viable a career ClinPsych was, I was like, had it in my sights, and that was it for me. I'm relentless. I keep on plodding on, slogging on. Even the fact that I'm still here with you guys, come I was about to say come September, we're not back at September yet. Come May, when we started in September. So you just got to keep on keeping on. But some people do decide for their own sanity that they can't do it for another season, or we tell ourselves that we can't do it, and then come autumn again, you're like, oh, I'll just give it one more try. I honestly do take a lot of comfort from what's for you doesn't pass you by, and that you get there when you're ready. When you're able to bring everything with you, bring all that knowledge, bring all that wisdom, bring all that compassion with you, and have the people that you're talking to who are assessing you, which is quite tricky, have them see your brilliance and see how ready you are. That's when it's your time. And I know it's really tricky. I was speaking to someone earlier about, I feel like it is my time, but just the pressure of all of this stuff feels overwhelming. And it almost takes you out of the zone where you feel like you can show your good stuff and your brilliance. So it's just, knowing that this is a big deal, but not allowing or choosing for that not to derail you, so that they want to see you. They want to see how brilliant you are. They want to see evidence of your learning, the way you see the world. So they don't want to know the way that someone whose book you read once upon a time sees the world. They want to know how you assimilate everything to make your own unique sense of the world and your own unique way of seeing, how to help people holistically. So that's my take on it. Lauren says, to anyone still going through the process, you can do this, you're nearly at the finish line. Yeah, I know. But of course, what we know is that the finish line doesn't always come with medals. Sometimes we get really bad blisters. Sometimes we feel utterly exhausted and need sort of carrying along the finish line, or we limp along the finish line, or, we get disqualified for a false start or whatever. So, I'm really hoping that people can get, a result, even if the result is some really useful, constructive feedback that then helps them take action in future. Because, the demand for places means that not everyone will get one. So I think we looked at the stats last year for the DClinPsy collective book, and it's about, was it 22% of people, I seem to recall, get places. But of course, you can choose four places, so that perhaps increases your odds ever so slightly, but only if you're ready. Yes, so I'd have to look at the stats again to properly refresh my memory, but I know that there's certainly, by a country mile, there's more applicants than there are places. So Lorraine says, I didn't get an interview. This is my first time applying. I was wondering how many people manage with the anxiety around interviews and the whole application process. So I kind of just answered that one as well. So great minds think alike, Lauren. Lauren, sorry, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. But you just have to kind of take it in stages, I would say. You kind of do the best you can at any given stage before really allowing yourself to progress to the next. So, do the best you can on preparing now for getting ready for applying. But of course, we're not necessarily going to know what questions there might be in the application this year. They're usually fairly consistent, but we can't know that. So you'd be well versed to have a look at the questions from last year and see what kind of things they're offering, they're asking there, and then have a bash. You could get started and see what comes up for you. Just kind of do like a bit of a mind map, encephalus wall, see what comes out as your answers for those questions. And I often think it can be useful to read them aloud and then answer them aloud too. So you might find it helpful to record yourself on Zoom, see what genius ideas come to you. What kind of things stand out in an application or an interview? So do catch up on all of the replays that you can see, Lauren. If you go to my link tree, so you're watching on LinkedIn at the moment, it's a little bit fiddly to find on LinkedIn, but if you go to my profile after this and then go to, there's like a section right at the end of my profile on the right-hand side, near my face somewhere, that I think says more, and then you can click on that. You can click on to contact information. It's a bit fiddly, and then you will see my Linktree account there, and you can see a playlist on YouTube of all of my previous compassionate Q&As, which does include interview season as well, and the answer to your questions are in there. So that's a great place to start. But if you've still got questions thereafter, then have a little look. If it's not there, drop into my DMs and we'll see what we can do. Lauren says, I saw something recently said you can never truly say you failed as you chose to try and do something new in the first place. Yeah, it's about the learning you take from it. But also you go into it with your eyes open. You go into it knowing, that there's perhaps as little as a 70, as much as a 75% chance that you won't get a place. So, we always have hope, but we go into it knowing there's not enough places for everybody that wants one. So, this is why when people do get places, it just feels so incredible. So it's been really nice celebrating with so many of you on socials. So mainly LinkedIn and Twitter, I've seen people celebrating and joined in, because I know what it feels like to get that. In my days, it was a letter, to get that letter saying, you're in, we want you. It feels incredible. It feels otherworldly. It feels all kinds of discombobulating. It feels like maybe you need to have like they need to have another check in to check that it's definitely for you. Is this really me? But I hope that I hope that it feels like that course is a bit of you, and that they're choosing you because they really liked what they saw, and you chose that course to apply to begin with because you really liked that course, and that hopefully it makes your heart sing. Lauren says it's pronounced like Lauren. It always confuses people. It looks like Loren, doesn't it? But yeah, thank you for clarifying, Lauren. Lovely Kaya. I've learnt so much since I submitted my application, mostly about myself and my experiences. If I don't get on, I'm still left with all that learning. Oh, she is wise, this Kaya. But absolutely, the person that you are now is a different person than the one, perhaps you submitted, early November. You've had so much learning since then. So that's why I always say, if people aren't successful, I would say start your application again come September, because you're a different person. You should be. You shouldn't be the same. But even if you're in the same job, your ability to think around problems, your ability to just think about yourself and your own journey should have advanced. Your professional and personal development skills absolutely should have advanced. So, yeah, I would always say if you're not successful, then we treat that as, some input in itself. Whatever was happening last year wasn't working for you, in the way that you needed it to. And so I would always start again. That's my little advice. So to what extent does getting low 2-1s hinder your chances of getting on the course, James? So I got a low 2-1 as well, James, because I did quite like partying and hanging out with my friends and boys. But so I believe that certain courses will not accept low 2-1s without an additional master's. So an additional master's will, show them that you've got the academic ability, whereas people who perhaps have a first wouldn't necessarily need a master's, but might choose to do one as well. But yeah, if you've got a low 2-1, it can be useful to think about whether you might supplement with a master's. Not all courses demand that, but yeah, it can be useful. So have a look. I did a distance learning master's, so that might be an option as well, James. Not essential. People do get on with low 2-1s, and there's some stories in there in the Clinical Psychologist Collective as well. It opens with a story from someone who got a 2-2. So that is also not impossible. Layla, hello again, Layla. 2 upcoming interviews and ready for the process to be over for now. I'm here to soak up positivity. I feel better having stopped prepping and realizing the importance of self-care and preservation. Absolutely. It is useful to have done some prep, but I'm just going to get rid of your comment because it's slightly impeding with my slight neck problem. In that I don't have a very big chin. Thanks for that, Mum. So yeah, if you don't know it by now, the chances are you may not know it yet, by the time the interview comes. But I think focusing on being as well rested as you can, trying to get good sleep, trying to spend time with people that you like is always useful. Okay. So yeah, look after yourself. Just have a little read of some recent research is probably as useful a prep as you can do. If you've already thought about your cases that you've worked with and you've kind of got a good sense and a good idea of some of the professional and ethical issues that you've worked with, then just, dipping your little, that's your little toe, that's what your toe that was, not your fingers, dipping your toe into the research stuff is probably a good way to spend some time, not like weeks of time, but just so that you, when called upon in the moment of crisis, not crisis, the moment of need, you can draw upon some evidence, some recent research would be useful. James, thank you. I have a low 2-1 in my masters too, but that said, you got 2-1 in your masters, so I think that's probably fine. But what I would do, James, is I might be tempted to call what would be your chosen top 4 unis and speak to the administrators there, and see what the deal is. So there might also be information on the clearinghouse website already, but some universities do offer tests for, I know when I was applying, they did tests for all applicants, and then they, invited the top percentage of applicants. So if you are good under pressure, that might be a good way where they wouldn't, so long as you met the essential criteria, you could potentially get interviews as well. But, I think you're consistent, if nothing else, James. It is what it is. You can't necessarily change. You can't change that now, as much as you might, as much as you might want to. You've got those qualifications, and those are the milestones. Those are the what's the word? The hoops that you needed to jump through. So good luck to you, James. And you've got to think now about the relevant experience that you need to be having for you to be able to reflect upon all of this good stuff that you're learning and to help you put the theory into practice. Millie, oh, I do like a Millie. Hi, Marianne. Do you have any tips for practicing self-compassion and stress management whilst on the reserve list? Oh, reserve list for a place, Millie, or reserve list for an interview? Because the two are slightly different in terms of like, um, yeah, I was number 1 reserve list for a place, and that soon became a place in itself for my second choice uni. So I don't have loads of experience about the anxiety of that. And then soon after that, I was offered a place outright for my first choice. So it is tricky. It is tricky. Because it means such a great deal to you. And you can't, it's difficult because you can't know always why you're waiting. You can't know whether you're waiting because others are hoping that they will get an offer at a different university. You also can't know necessarily what number you are on the list, because I know that not all courses give numbers, so you don't know whether you are about to get the call or whether it's unrealistic that the call will come. I know that on the course that I did, so it was COV. I was on COV and Warwick. I think something like 12 of the 15 of us all accepted our places outright. So we were all given places and we all accepted them. But the other 3 places bumped down and down and down and down. And actually, someone on the cohort had been number 13 on the reserve list originally, but it had bumped down and down and down until they were offered a place. So, things do happen, you know, all the other 12 people above. So it might have been that 11, 12, 13 got on. I don't necessarily know. But I know that certainly number 13 did get a place. And that was her only place. So Millie, if you are waiting, so there you go for a place. Oh, Millie, congratulations. You are absolutely your doctoral standard, you know, they want you. It's now just up to other people to step out of the way. Millie is coming through, people, but we can't know, you know, who they're waiting for. Just want to say a big hello to Shahid, who is my lovely contractor connection on LinkedIn. And I don't see you as much anymore, Shahid, but we used to enjoy some good chats. But he's recently had a promotion on his construction, in his construction job. And I know that means a great deal to you as well. So you're absolutely welcome here, even though you don't want to be an aspiring psychologist. Thank you for watching and thank you for coming along. So Millie, yeah. Just try and do you, you know, so try and enjoy this part of your journey. And know that if it doesn't come to fruition, like Kaya said, you know, you've shown that you are absolutely doing what they would want you to be doing. And come autumn, and come spring next year, you know, I would hope that you're getting more interviews, and then you're going to have a choice of places, you know, maybe even 2, 3, or 4 that you get to choose from. So, you know, I know it feels really hard to imagine going through all this slog again. But these, you know, it's a bit like having a baby, you know. I've got 2 of the beasts. You know, they feel like long nights, they feel like long days, but they're short months and years, you know. So, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter whether you get onto your doctorate course this year or next year. And please don't shout at me, Millie. Because I'm like, yes, it does that. I want it now. I know that. I know that. And if you're waiting to, you know, start a family, or you're waiting to settle down and buy a house, then of course that matters. You know, I'm not going to be completely tone deaf here, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, when you reflect in 10 years' time, it won't matter whether you qualified, you know, 7 years ago or 6 years ago. It's just that bit trickier getting there. Facebook user who hasn't been to StreamYard and given permission for me to see your name, welcome along. Hi, any pointers for people who are totally not up for moving for the DClin? It can be so restrictive, and I'm struggling to decide on 4 unis and avoid Oxford or London unis due to competition. Yeah, but someone's got to get those places. What if you're the best applicant? You know, got to be in it to win it. You know, so I think you're just going to have to play the geography game, you know? You're going to have to look at places that you could reasonably commute to from your house, and probably do a bit of acceptance that you're going to have potentially, you know, 3 years of not that enjoyable commutes. But that said, lots of courses, if you get a course with a very big patch, and you get a placement that's outside of your living area. It's Katia. Lovely, thank you, Katia. You just go to streamyard.com/Facebook, but you might not want to do that now. You might want to do that another day. And then you give it permission to have a look at you and your name. Yes, you might just choose actually to hire, you know, an Airbnb or something for just a few months while you're there, even if just, you know, for, I don't know, a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, you know, just to cut down on a bit of commuting time if it is going to be quite a long slog. So people do that, which I appreciate. If you've got children or whatever, that makes it tricky. But certainly on my cohort, one of my friends rented a room and did exactly that. So she rented the room for 6 months and became very, very close with the older couple who had rented that to her. They became like a little adoptive set of parents for her, were very important to her. So, it's not ideal, but if for what you'll have very valid and important reasons why you don't want to move or you can't move. So you may just need to get get through it, and then come out the other side and be your shiny best qualified self. Oh, I love how supportive everyone is. So Kaya says congrats Millie. Rassi, hi Rassi, says good luck Millie. And Millie herself says thank you Marianne, I actually thoroughly enjoyed my interviews. Oh good, and at least the fear factor of it has been taken out slightly if I am applying again. Yeah, I also thoroughly enjoyed one of my interviews, and the other one I was like, say what now? What's going on? You want me to answer what? What? Say what? But I still managed to pull that out of the bag and get a place. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So, enjoying the interviews, I would say, makes it sound like that course who want you are a bit of you, which is good. And, it's really tricky if you do have to apply next year because you're thinking, get off, back off from my place, it's mine. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, but keeping everything crossed. Will you let us know, Millie? Will you let us know if you do get movement on the list? I presume you've been making a bit of a pest of yourself with the admin, and you've phoned and asked, what number am I? And they've said, I'm not telling you. Well, we can't tell you, or we don't know. I'd be absolutely making a pest of myself in your position. Um, Thank you, everyone. Such a lovely community. It really is. It really is. Very fortunate to have you lovely people in my world. I'm just going to have a little quick look to see if I can see any comments on Instagram, because I have organized this slightly differently this time so that it's here. No, so I haven't got any questions on Instagram. But yeah, has anyone else got any other questions or thoughts or concerns or queries or wonderings or ponderings? Whilst I have a little drinky. It is only water. It's not very exciting. Is anyone watching This Is Us? Have you listened to today's Aspiring Psychologist podcast episode? It is it is called How to Be a Psychologist When You're Not in the Mood. Yeah, and my reference to This Is Us will make sense if you listen to that. But whatever you've got going on in your life, even if you do go on to become a trainee psychologist and a qualified psychologist, ultimately, um, my virtual assistant has just sent me the weirdest message. She's talking about curtains, and I thought it was something to do with this message. I thought it was something to do with my curtains. Yes, so you will still have days where you're like, meh, meh, can't be bothered. And that's just life. So yeah, have a listen to the Aspiring Psychologist podcast, which you can find on all of the relevant podcast streaming platforms. But if you are on Apple, you could do it now, guys. If you're not using your phone, if you're watching me on your iPad, you could open the podcast app, find my podcast, scroll right below the trailer, and then give me 5 stars. You definitely could do that. It would take you like a minute. So yeah, have you got any other questions for our fourth and final live, of this interview season? But I think I did 5 lives to support application season, I seem to remember. And this is our fourth live for interview season. So this is like my ninth hour of being here with you guys live. So yeah, thank you for allowing me into your living rooms or bedrooms or kitchens, wherever you happen to be right now. So Millie says, absolutely loved your last podcast episode with Lucy Johnston, the queen of formulation. We'll definitely listen to the most recent one with a cup of tea this evening. Not caffeinated tea though, Millie. You'll never get any sleep. Yeah. Make your own choice. Not everyone's as sensitive to caffeine as I am. But yeah, that was a really great interview. It's absolutely becoming already one of our most popularly downloaded episodes of all time. So it may not surprise you that the most popular episode is how to optimally prepare for interviews. But yeah, some people have obviously just listened to that one and then, cut and run, which is like, was it that bad? You didn't want to come back for any more? But that one has had I think by about 400 downloads so far. But the Lucy Johnston episode is doing really well. People are really enjoying that as well. So yeah, I couldn't believe that I'd asked her and she'd said yes. But yeah, I'd love any thoughts of anyone else who you think would be worth me reaching out to. Who would be on your dream wish list to hear me interview, and what questions would you want me to interview and ask them if I did get them on board as a guest on the podcast? So yeah, I don't know if we've got any other questions. Not sure, but we've got 14 of you watching live. Please, if you are watching on replay on any of the channels, please do still feel free to post any questions, comments, observations, wishes of good luck to Millie and Kaya. We will absolutely, I'll do my best to get back to those as well. But it might be that at this tail end of this season that you are all just so worn out. That listening to me speak, I've got a slightly better speaking voice this week than I had last week, where I was a bit squeaky and a bit coughy. So maybe you need a little bit of a calm, little bit of a decompress. So why don't we do that just before we finish? So, okay, what shall I do? What imagery type thing shall I do with you? What to do. Which one shall I do? I feel like I'm so spoilt for different options that I can't pick one. Okay, let's drop our shoulders and just take a breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment, breathe out when you're ready. Hold that for a moment, breathe in through your mouth. No, nose. Hold that for a moment, breathe out through your mouth. Okay, I'd like you to imagine that you're standing in front of a long mirror and just look at yourself in that mirror. Look at the size of your hands, the size of your feet. Look at what clothes you're wearing, what style your hair is in, and just notice and observe. Just notice what you notice as you keep breathing in. Okay, now I'd like you to imagine that you've got a younger version of yourself 3 years ago standing next to you, and you're looking at them in the mirror as well. As you take a breath in through your nose. Notice the size of your younger version's hands, feet, what shoes they're wearing, what style their hair is. It might be like me, like my hair doesn't look particularly different. I'm a bit less blonde now than I was 3 years ago, probably. Haven't had my eyebrows done as recently. But just observe any differences. But I also want you to tune in to how you hold yourself differently. Really tune in to the level of learning and change and personal development and reflection that you have been able to amass and experience since you were the person stood next to you in that mirror. And imagine what this person from 3 years ago, yourself, would have made about where you're at right now. They'd have been so excited to spend time with you. Imagine what sort of questions they'd have had for you. What might they have wanted for you to help them understand? And of course, what we know is that in 1 or 2 or 3 years, you're going to have so much wisdom, so much ability, so many more reflections than you've got right now. So you will be looking at yourself in a couple of years, not able to comprehend how you didn't realize, how brilliant you are now, and how much you've got to give and how far you have come. So let's just take a moment to just notice, accept, observe those changes. Know that more changes, more development, more good things are coming your way. Your time is coming and you will be ready. You will be ready. It will be your time and you will be ready for the next step. Okay, so we can let your younger self go back to where they are now, whilst knowing that, you are going great places, and it may not be your time this year, but that's okay, because you will find your path, whatever that looks like, and you're going to be great. The fact that you're tuning into some bird in the West Midlands waffling on about psychology tells me that you care. You're invested, you want this. And I really do hope that that will come for you. Just keep doing, keep yourself open to opportunities. Keep yourself mindful, keep yourself reflective. And I really do hope that your time will come, and keep open to wisdom. Keep open to people who have different viewpoints to you. Think about whether you think they're valid, important, helpful, and what you might be able to take away from that, to help you with your own development that you might want to take forward. Leila, I love This Is Us, such a special program. What a tearjerker. Yeah. Anxiety management practice or tips would be helpful. So hopefully the one I just did a moment ago was useful. Yeah, don't let any spoilers out, because I think I'm only on about episode 5 of the current series, but I can't believe it's ending. I wasn't ready for that. I thought they were going to do about 10 series. And yeah, I think it's only going to be 6. They've cut it short. I've got a festival this weekend before my second interview, something to wake me up after my first interview and bring me to life for my second interview. Yeah, festival. Sounds very exciting. Yeah, just go easy on the old booze, Kaya, because you're younger than me, but it would take me a while to switch my brain back into gear. I went to Butlins for a weekend and it ruined me for a week. I would not have been interview ready come the Tuesday, if I'd been at Butlins. And I imagine a festival is a whole lot messier than Butlins, with 2 young children. So just go easy. This Is Us is amazing. Hoping to channel the Randall Pearson energy. Yeah, he has got energy, but he's also got wiseness, hasn't he? I like Randall and Beth. They're some of my favourite characters. Also like Kevin. Got a lot of time for Kevin. and Kate. They're all good, aren't they? And I love Mandy Moore's character, more so as young Rebecca than older Rebecca. Not there's anything wrong with older Rebecca, but Mandy Moore's just so beautiful, isn't she? She's absolutely stunning. She must be so sick of having all that makeup put on her to age her up, but it's just an incredible series. And I think the writing this year is just this series is back on form again. It went a little bit wobbly, when everyone was wearing masks and stuff and everyone was hating each other. It feels like it's really back on form for the final series. Lucy says, I've also got a festival this weekend, which my boyfriend is performing, and that's very exciting. Hope that goes really well. Yeah, so life's what happens whilst you're waiting for your psychology career to start, isn't it? It happens along the way, and you absolutely should be doing these things, even though it's a big and important time, because we've got to have those memories. We've got to be able to spend time with people that we adore. So yeah, I certainly have very fond memories. I can see that one of my very fond memories may be watching on Instagram as we talk, and I have very fond memories with being an aspiring psychologist with her, nights out. Even in the days leading up to our interviews, I was out partying in Oxford, having a great time with my friends. So yeah, Kaya, definitely not planning to drink a lot. My dad's 50th birthday a few weeks ago, still impacting me every day. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. Just takes a bit while longer for alcohol to be processed out the system, and for ourselves to recover. Lucy, oh, sorry, I missed that. I've done that one, haven't I? Missed the comment from Kaya. So I think we might be at an end for today, but just giving you a 2-minute warning, because I know that these comments can take a little while to trickle through. But thank you for joining me for this compassionate Q&A series. If you are interested in joining the Aspiring Psychologist membership, and you can join the waiting list. And we're opening again at the start of July is your next chance to get on board. So yeah, if you want to join that waiting list, you can go to my link tree and all the details are there. It does say at the moment that it's opening on the 29th of April, because I need to update that because it closed over the weekend, but we're opening again in July. So if you do like me and my ways of teaching, then you can hop onto that waiting list. But I hope you won't need to, because I hope you'll get a place on training this year. But if you are looking ahead and you're applying next year, then you could absolutely come on board to the membership. And if you have enjoyed any of this free content this season, then you can also make a donation through the Linktree account as well, but absolutely no obligation. But of course, it helps cover my costs as well of providing and supporting you with this content. So thank you so much for joining me. Very exciting weekends. Mine mostly child birthday parties. Good luck, Kaya. Yeah, I was at a very noisy birthday party at a trampoline centre on Saturday. It was so noisy, I had to come home and have a lie down. My head was killing me. Honestly, even waiting in reception, I was like, oh, it's like sensory overload. I can't cope with it. It was so noisy, because I think it was about 3 or 4 parties all waiting to go into the room. And then there was other younger children and staff all in this waiting room, and it was honestly horrendous. At one point, I thought, is it possible to like pass out from noise? I felt like really wobbly and woozy. It was really overwhelming. So yeah, I thought it might be better when we went in, but it wasn't. It was incredibly noisy, even with the noise cancelling headphones on. So yeah, not so rock and roll. Thank you very much, Marianne. I'm feeling so much calmer now. Good, Rassi. And Kaya says, thank you, and thanks, Marianne Trent. That's okay. It was nice to have my full name used. Would you like my middle name too? It's Jane with a Y. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me, all of you. And thank you for being part of my world and being so kind to me as well. I do this because I really enjoy it, but also because I know that you guys really value it. So I will end this broadcast on what have we got? Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Um, Kaya says it's an accident. It tagged your full name. That's all right, Kaya. Sisusalu. Sisusalu? Sisalu. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I've never asked you that before. Sisulu. Sisulu. I'm going to go for that. And Millie says, thank you. Good luck, Millie. Can we all please send some positive vibes to Millie? I make my children do this. So I've got a kit called the Our Tricky Brain Kit, and I make my children send good vibes for people to be buying the Our Tricky Brain Kit, and it works. It does work. You get sales. I'm like, kids, you've been sending out vibes about the Our Tricky Brain Kit today, and they're like, oh, it's got a jingle. Yeah. So let's send those good vibes to you, Millie. There we go. Thank you very much for joining me. Wishing you a lovely rest of your evening. I think the rest of my evening will probably involve watching something with my husband. We really enjoy watching A League of Their Own road trip replays. So we've never watched it before, but it's really funny. So yeah, we tend to do that of an evening. He doesn't watch This Is Us with us because it's mine. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. So yeah, I'm going to end on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and then I'll come along and finish the broadcast on Instagram. But thank you for joining me. Good luck with the rest of this process, and take care. Bye bye. Oh, and if you're watching on YouTube, I know I said I was finishing. You must subscribe to the channel, like the content, do all those good things. And if you're not watching on YouTube, go across to Good Thinking Psychological Services on YouTube, subscribe, notify, click around on a few likes. It'll be most gratefully received. Take care, guys. Have a lovely evening. Bye.